You know that feeling when you tell yourself, once I get the job, I'll be happy. Or, once I move to that city, everything will click. Or, once I finally meet the right person, my real life will begin. You're basically living in the trailer of your own movie, waiting for the feature film to start. But here's the thing. Some people one day just stop waiting. They don't get the job. They don't move to the city. They don't meet anyone new. They just stop believing that life happens later. And when that shift occurs, something psychological happens that changes everything about how they move through the world. Let's talk about what actually goes on inside someone's mind when they stop waiting for their life to start. First, there's the person who realizes they've been treating the present like a waiting room. You've seen them before. Maybe it's you. They've spent years saying things like, I'll start working out after this project ends, or I'll reconnect with friends once things settle down, or I'll finally learn that language when I have more time. Their entire existence feels like a dress rehearsal. They're conserving their energy, their excitement, their full presence for some future version of themselves that has it all figured out. But then something happens. Maybe they turn 30 or 40, or they see someone younger than them die unexpectedly, or they just wake up one random Tuesday and think, I've been saying someday for 10 years. And it hits them. The waiting room is the life. There is no separate room where the real stuff happens. This realization can feel terrifying at first because it means all those ordinary moments they dismissed, all those Tuesdays they zoned through, those were it. That was the life they were waiting to start. But once the terror passes, something shifts. They start showing up differently. They laugh harder at mediocre jokes. They take the long route home just to see the sunset. They stop saving the good dishes for special occasions because they realize breakfast on a Wednesday is a special occasion if you decide it is. Psychologically, they've moved from what's called deferred living to present moment engagement, and their brain literally starts processing experiences with more richness because they're no longer filtering everything through the lens of, this doesn't count yet. Then, there's the type who stops waiting and immediately starts building. These are the people who suddenly quit jobs that were supposed to lead somewhere, or start businesses with no safety net, or move across the country with just a suitcase. They look reckless from the outside, but here's what's actually happening. They've done the math in their heads and realized that waiting for perfect conditions is a con game. They're never going to feel completely ready. The stars will never fully align, so they just go. But it's not impulsive. It's the opposite. It's the result of years of internal pressure building up while they waited for permission that was never going to come. Psychologically, they've switched from an external locus of control to an internal one. They've stopped waiting for life to happen to them and started authoring it themselves. The fascinating part is that these people often don't succeed in the conventional sense, at least not right away, but they report feeling more alive in their failures than they ever did in their safe waiting state. Because the act of choosing, of moving, of building something, even if it falls apart, gives them a sense of agency that waiting never could. They'd rather be wrong about their own decisions than right about someone else's plan for them. But here's the twist. There's another type who stops waiting and does nothing. And I don't mean that in a depressing way. They stop waiting for life to start, and they also stop chasing it. They just exist. They sit in their apartment, they go to their okay job, they see the same 3 friends, and they feel fine, content even. These people confuse everyone around them because they're not climbing any ladder. They're not posting about their journey. They're not becoming anything. But internally, they've made peace with the idea that life doesn't have to be a story worth telling. It just has to be lived. Psychologically, they've released themselves from what's called narrative identity pressure, the need to have a life that makes sense as a coherent, impressive story. They've realized that most of life is boring, and that's not a bug. It's a feature. The quiet moments are the actual fabric of existence, not the filler between highlights. And here's what's wild. These people often report some of the highest levels of life satisfaction because they're not constantly measuring their present against some imagined future. They're just here, fully, completely here, which is the one thing most people never quite manage. And then there are the people who stop waiting and feel grief. Because when you let go of the idea that your real life is coming, You also have to let go of all the fantasy versions of yourself you've been nurturing. The you who's funnier, more successful, more loved, more free. That person was always just around the corner, right? But when you stop waiting, you have to accept that you are who you are right now. And this is what you've built. And there's no future self coming to rescue you from your present self. It's a kind of death. A death of potential, of the infinite possibilities you are holding open by not committing to anything. Psychologically, this is the collapse of what's called the ideal self into the actual self, and it can feel like mourning. But on the other side of that grief is something surprising: freedom. Because once you accept that you're not becoming someone else, you can finally stop performing for that imaginary future audience and just live as the person you actually are. So, which type are you? The one who starts showing up fully to ordinary moments. The one who builds without permission. The one who finds peace in the boring middle. Or the one grieving the future self that never arrived. Maybe you're all of them at different times. Maybe stopping waiting isn't a single decision, but a series of small deaths and rebirths that happen every time you choose the life you have over the one you imagined. Either way, the moment you stop waiting is the moment your life actually starts. And that's the irony no one tells you.